The target was tasked under the identifier M9I7-D0S4. This randomly generated alphanumeric code is used to keep the viewer blind to the actual target cue. Remote viewer Dick Allgire sits down with only this target ID information and begins his work, which will take him several hours. He doesn't know if the target will be a location, an historic event, a future event, an object, or a person. He has only this target ID, his remote viewing method, and years of experience to guide his exploration.
At some point I realized that the thing of interest at this target is a person. And this comes to me, I close my eyes, and what I see is like a human form in shadow shape. The details don't come until later in the session. This is interesting. The first thing I see is a chromosome, and I see that very clearly. The visual is quite specific. Then my mind starts to fill it in. I'm getting the idea of chromosome manipulation, genetic alteration. This person has either special chromosomes or has been tweaked. And the next thing I see is a man in the past. I know it's the past. He has that look of what people looked like generations ago. I realize this is the paternal line, his ancestor, like father or grandfather, and it's an intelligent line. And now the man begins to come into focus. He has a friendly face, a big smile. I'm immediately struck by the fact that he has a fortune. He's handsome, he laughs, he's wealthy, and he's smart. Then the interesting aspects start coming to me. Trickery, mocks, manipulates by putting out misleading or false information. The switcheroo, misdirection.
The target is actor Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is an iconic movie star whose films have grossed nearly $5 billion in America and almost $10 billion worldwide. He is known for both comedic and dramatic roles. So how will an expert remote viewer perceive an actor who makes his living portraying other people? In essence, taking on identities for the purpose of, well, what is the purpose of Hollywood? The remote viewing may shed some light on all of that.
I spent 2 or 3 hours working on this target, and I got a lot of details. I saw his house. I saw his wife really clearly. I saw him at different times in his life when he had like the 80s style hair and then when he was older. I never realized it was Tom Hanks. I didn't recognize him, even though I saw him pretty clearly. One of the first things I see is a mask. One of those early Greek masks that date back to the earliest theater of mankind. The names were Melpomene and Thalia, tragedy and comedy. So I said, the public side is a mask crafted for public consumption, a different person behind the public face. He carefully weaves a story and puts out information to guide people in a direction or make conclusions that are intended, like a series of magic tricks, illusions to hide real intent. I saw him with children, like a photo outdoors with children meant to convey family, perfectly staged. Little ones don't feel real affection, strange emotions between them, like actors. Like I say, I didn't recognize him, but I know a lot about him. I see him as a younger man, and I feel a connection to the 70s and 80s. Present day, he's older. His influence is in the past, but not distant history. It's my time. This is my timeline. And now I pick up multiple personalities, like he takes on roles. He has different roles. He can look different, sometimes glasses and hats. I can see him young and old. He manipulates reality and causes people to like him and make him rich. I see him young when he was thinner, his hair unkempt. Like many of his generation, he may have experimented with drugs. The concept of acting comes through the data when I write role play, game, mystery. He creates one very complex reality and another and hides in layers. True motives are not easily found. This is more than financial. He loves gamesmanship, the mystery, bordering on multiple personalities. I see him changing his appearance, sometimes wearing glasses. Some kind of hat or cap, intense eyes. This man is driven, ruthless. He sets high goals and works to meet them, feels sacrifice or pushing himself is virtuous. And now I see a woman associated with this man. Difficult to draw her eyes as I saw them, quite intense. The eyeliner accentuates that. She loves expensive clothes and wears jewels and gemstones. Tom Hanks is married to actress Rita Wilson, and the relationship might not be as wonderful as portrayed to the public. I see a different side of him. I see him older now. That would be present day. His eyes look deep. He's looking down at me without much empathy. My impression is not a guy I would want to spend a lot of time with. That surprises me because it's not how I ever felt about Tom Hanks, only in this remote viewing session. I do realize he's a big presence. He has charisma, but it feels a little dark. It's interesting the things that pop into your awareness when you're working a session and you're really on target. I see watch gears. He likes things with tiny, intricate gears, like Swiss watch mechanisms. Well, as we researched this presentation, we discovered that Hanks does collect expensive watches.
One of the most interesting parts of Dick's session is when he apparently popped into the set of Apollo 13, when Hanks starred as astronaut Jim Lovell in the movie about the ill-fated NASA moon mission.
I have a bilocation event where I see the switches engage as a complex array like a cockpit of a spacecraft. He's activating something. This does not seem digital. It seems more like just prior to the digital age. Inside a jet spacecraft, he interacts with this console. Well, Apollo 13. I see his home. This is late in the session and I'm running out of energy. I quickly draw a big house with turrets. It's a nice mansion. We looked up Tom Hanks' home and saw that my rendering was pretty accurate. I see him spending time in nature as a challenge to clear his mind, to build character. He likes isolation, his own thoughts. He feels some disgust with humanity.
Now, some disturbing perceptions come up in the session. We're not claiming this is accurate data, but it is interesting. Dick sees the man sitting, laughing, in an altered state. His pupils are dilated. This is an initiation. He is learning, gaining knowledge and experience, leaving his old self behind.
It is like a psychedelic initiation or ritual. He becomes the chrysalis. Now he will influence. And then there's this. Well, this was an interesting session. If the question was, how would a remote viewer perceive an actor? Could you see through the disguises? Could you see through the costumes? Could you realize that this is a man playing many roles and get to the heart of the man himself? And I think in this session, I was dancing around that the whole time. Tom Hanks, a very interesting man, and this was a very interesting session. I hope you enjoyed seeing my work.